Now let's take a closer look at the methodology steps for our debate class in week 1. The first thing you're going to do is introduce the project using the one-sentence summary. Break down the sentence if needed and hold a general discussion about the topic. You don't want to brainstorm and try to answer all the questions here. I just want to activate students' knowledge, and you can ask questions like, okay, so what do you know about aliens? Have you seen an alien before? Where? What's your favorite alien movie? And so on. After that, we'll learn a thinking tool, and then we will practice it. Now, these components are exactly the same as the other levels, sprout and sapling, so let's skip ahead to something new. Next, you want to brainstorm possible ideas as a class. Make sure to lead the students to talk about both sides equally. If they're having trouble coming up with ideas for one side of the argument, you have to ask proper leading questions to steer their thought process. You can open up the blackboard and ask them to name the first thing that comes to mind when they think about aliens. Afterwards, categorize and label those ideas. And once you're done brainstorming, explain to your students on how they can complete this page. Now they have this exact same page on their CTP notebook, and give them some instructions, some tips. Make sure they know what pros and cons are. And this is a good time to maybe talk about the thinking tool they learned earlier. So for example, we learned about force relationships, so explain to them maybe combine aliens with one of the ideas that they brainstorm, put them together, and try to come up with support for either pros or cons. So complete a few of these as a class together, and of course give your own example as well. And after that, give your students some time to complete the rest of it individually. Now, something you should also have a look at is your teacher's guide. So as you can see here, it has some sample responses. So if your students are stuck or they're having trouble coming up with more than a few ideas, you could ask them some leading questions relating to some of these samples here. So what you need to do next after the students complete this page is you could have them share some of their ideas with the class, and then afterwards you must assign your students into two groups, pro team and con team. At this time, students will generally lean towards one side, so if possible, try to put them on their preferred side. However, know that it's not always going to be possible for everyone. So for example, if you have a class of 10 students and 8 of them want to be on the con team, it's not going to work. You need even number of students on both teams. Now, it's understandable that some of the students might not be happy if they are put on the team that they would not prefer, but it's up to you to keep them motivated and have them try their best. I would generally tell my students that arguing for the side that you don't 100% believe in, it's actually very challenging, and it's a good practice for improving your debate skill. Now, all of this up to picking the teams should take about 30 minutes because you need to spend about 10 minutes explaining to your students about online research. If you look at the teacher's guide, it contains some information on how to research online, so talk about that with your students. And you could also share some of your experience and knowledge on conducting research. Afterwards, you want to assign research homework to your students. Now, you're not asking them to research everything on the topic. You're asking them only one directed question per student, and they must answer it using research. Now, your junior master students are often very busy when they get home. They have a lot of April homework, and they have some school homework and other Hagwon homework, so you don't want to overload them with too much research homework. And another reason why we only assign one homework question is because you want your students to have their own question, and we want to try to avoid duplicate research, even though they could still happen sometimes. So students write down their homework question right here. Now they have the same page on their CTP notebook, and at home they would write down their research findings down here, including the sources. So if we could go back to our teacher's guide one more time, there are some directed homework suggestions. You could also assign some of your own questions as well. And one last thing you should do before end of the class is explain to them the importance of this homework. And you should also inform them that they're going to present their research findings next week. And that is it for week 1 of Junior Master Debate classes.